Hi, Converge, and especially Converge Heartland. This is Jim Capaldo, Executive Minister of the Converge Heartland District. Excited to be with you today. And today we have John Wright, who serves as the Mission Director of Converge Southeast, and he's also one of the assessors for our Missionary Assessment Center with Converge. And so we're really excited to have you with us today, John. And John is heading up hurricane relief mission trips towards the Southeast, as well as some other dynamics, and many churches in Converge Heartland have asked all about this, and we finally have some answers for everybody that are very concrete, things that you can act upon. And so what I'd like, John, just tell us about what's going on in Converge Southeast right now. Where are we in the hurricane relief efforts, and how do local churches get involved? Again, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you, and just a big shout out to all of Converge and especially Heartland for the special offerings and the generosity that you've demonstrated. We're nearing that $90,000 mark, which is making a huge difference. Obviously, we're not FEMA, so we can't go in and just provide drinking water for all 30 million people in the Caribbean and do things of that nature, but we are making a gospel impact, and a lot of great things are being done. Just to bring you up to date on some of the exciting things that are being done. Number one, we've sent 2 containers full of supplies to Puerto Rico, and we're on our 3rd container going out of Jacksonville. 2 pastors, Converge pastors, one in Georgia, Louis Scott, and then Walter and Angelica in Jacksonville have teamed up together and with Converge Southeast, and we've made that happen. Then we've got another pastor who has connections and family, and he's actually from Puerto Rico. Him and his pastor, Chan Kilgore at Cross Point, are heading to Puerto Rico. They have a contact there, and they're purchasing gift cards. The great thing about disaster relief right now is we've moved from having to pay for containers to actually being able to take gift cards, because Home Depot, Costco, and Sam's Clubs are now opening and they're being stocked. So we're being able to do more faster in the relief effort. We still haven't gotten around to all of our islands yet. We're just now mobilizing some assessors to get around and see who needs the most and how we can make more out of less. But it's gaining a lot of momentum. So we have 3 straight stages. That is disaster relief, rebuild and repair, and then gospel impact through church planting. So this is a long-term endeavor, and it's very connected to the gospel and church planting.
So seeing that dovetail with hurricane relief is really fascinating. What can churches do to get involved physically in hurricane relief now? Because that goes throughout Florida, that goes throughout the Caribbean. Help us see what a church can do to get involved in that.
Obviously, it's about building relationships, and they're never more open to relationships than when they're in need. You go without power for 3 months, you go without clean water, you have fear of not being able to get clean water or food. Anybody who shows up on your doorstep is a welcomed visitor. And so when we give them a handout, we help get their heart up to God. And we're not giving them a handout, we're giving them a hand up, obviously. But we're using the opportunity to be Jesus to them when they need it the most. The gospel shines brighter in the darkness. And it's not any more darkness, literally and figuratively. It's not any more darker than it's ever been in the Caribbean right now. So they're very open. Pastors, when we go and talk to them, as soon as they hear what we're wanting to do, they immediately respond. They're begging us to send small mission trip groups and churches. We've got one church in Vermont that's sending 70 people to St. Croix at the end of February. So we can figure out exactly where a church is most needed at and what fits them. Our goal is to have 50 trips a year. We believe that we can easily do that. The pastors in the Caribbean are begging for it. The truth is we could do 150 a year and they would still want us to come. But we got to start off with at least 50 a year. And we've had 4 on the books already for the first 2 months of the year coming up. We need more, and we need to list more. And the way they do that is if they go online, and I believe you're going to show the application. It's just a short 1-page information application that lets us know who you are and gives a little bit of a profile so that we can contact you, find out how many people you're wanting to potentially take on a trip. what your experience is on trips. If it's your first time, if your church has never taken a short-term trip, we're excited about it. We will even provide training. I personally will come down and spend a Saturday with your church and give them an orientation. We call it Missions 101. It's being formed now on how to set up prayer teams, how to recruit, how to get the right heart, and what to expect in these mission trips. And it can really ignite a missional heart in the churches. Strong churches start churches, and strong churches send people. And the strength of a church is really not its keeping ability, but its sending ability. We believe that. And so we're going to provide an opportunity for Converge all over the United States to start sending. The other thing we're doing that I'm excited about is we're mobilizing training, and we're wanting to take disaster relief training to every district so that people can be trained and be ready to go when it happens. Truth is, this Hurricane Irma and Maria, they caught us off guard. I had been the missions director for about 3 weeks when they hit, and we realized we were behind. So next hurricane season, we want to be prepared. We want people trained in every district so that when those hurricanes hit, they can get on a plane and they can go. Our hurricane relief team is made up of a couple engineers, are already planning to have containers of tools on each island so that whenever the hurricane hits, we don't have to pack tools, we don't have to buy tools, they're ready to go. So we're beginning to think ahead and get ahead of the curveball so that the next hurricane season hits, we won't be so behind. The truth is the Caribbean is always going to have hurricane. And
so,
it's going to be
right now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Right now in the Caribbean and in Florida, what are some of the rebuilding needs? If a team were to come, what would be some of the things that they would be faced with, or that they may project that they might undertake?
Great question, because most of the buildings in the Caribbean are not built like they are, especially here in Florida or maybe in the Heartland.
Yeah.
Most of them don't have carpet. Most of them don't use drywall. They're concrete. Even the roofs, most of them don't have shingles. So it's a completely different type of repair when you go there. We're equipping, we've got engineers that are ready to go in before your team goes in, assess and let you know the materials that are needed. We're going to ask the church to also partner with us in purchasing the materials. But as long as we have resources in the Southeast, if a church doesn't have a lot of money for the resources, we're willing to come in and help provide those resources. We need people who are carpenters, who can shovel out mud, who can cut down trees, but also for people, there's people that in those areas that you just need to go around and pray for. If you walk around Puerto Rico right now and say, hey, can I pray for you and your family? They embrace that greatly. So there's just a lot of comfort needed. In the future, we have opportunities for backyard Bible studies, for kids programs, for medical clinics, and for sports camps, which we plan on setting those up. So whatever your church is really good at or what they would like to try, we want to be able to facilitate that for them.
That's great, John. I'm just so glad to know that Converge has somebody just running point on the needs in the Caribbean and in Florida as far as missions goes and disaster relief. Thanks so much for all that you do. And I tell you what, I know many churches in our district and from around Converge will be in touch. We'll be filling out this application. We'll be sending this out soon to all of our churches. And I just am thankful that we get to participate. It's one of those ways, as we continue to grow together, it just shows we are better together. So thanks so much for all you're doing.
Absolutely. You couldn't say it better. And it's really becoming fun watching churches begin to network and connect. And I'll tell you something else. Churches that connect together on a mission trip, you can take two churches from different states and they go together. And that is phenomenal. You build relationships there that are just life-giving. So you're exactly right. This is a great opportunity. We don't want to waste any of the suffering that's going on in the Caribbean. And we want to leverage that to plant churches and to make a gospel impact throughout the Caribbean. There are still unreached people groups in the Caribbean. There are still people who have never heard the name Jesus yet. So we're excited and we're ready to go ahead and take this challenge on. And under the leadership of our executive minister, Ernie Cabrera, he has provided great vision. He's released us. He's really told us to go after it. And he's got a huge heart for mission trips and church planning. And we want to expand not just on the islands, but any property, any land that touches the Caribbean water, we're going after them. and we're excited about it.
That's great. Hey, thanks a lot, and thanks Converge Heartland and other churches around Converge for tuning in, and we just celebrate your participation in disaster relief and mission work throughout the Caribbean.
Well, thank you for your generosity and your networking. I appreciate it.